Here's the man, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Great.
Ride it out.
Just ride it out.
Ride all that out.
Ride that wave. Ride that applause.
This is what happens when you make an action film where you show your abs like crazy, right? That's what. See, that doesn't happen when you do those other movies.
First scene of the movie, people just.
You know, you do Donnie Darko, and people are all like. Just like, ah! Were you looking for an action role? Was that the thing?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I was just looking to have a good time. I think I read the first draft of the script, and I read the first sequence of the movie, which is this like massive siege of this huge city, and you know the main character who I eventually played, was having so much fun, and he was just like kicking some butt and having a good time and not taking himself too seriously. And I thought, this seems like me.
It was also, well, I mean, it was the evolution of the Indiana Jones character in that it was a flawed hero.
Yes.
Right. It was a flawed and
naturally, because I played the part, just flawed. But
you bring it to every role.
Didn't have to do much. Just totally flawed from the very beginning. Like, this character's too perfect. Who can we cast? Yeah. Well, Jake Gyllenhaal. Gyllenhaal. Yeah.
Looking at fun though, I mean, I wonder if at a certain point on set, you would look at the roles you're playing and the preparation. You'd have to go to whatever the role is and think, man, I gotta have way more fun with my career. Is that part of it?
You would think so. I don't. No. I find myself I keep shooting movies in the desert, and I don't know why. And I never think about it. I'm like, this is a good script, and I'm like in the desert. I'm like, in the desert again. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just it's one of those things that you just choose. Or maybe it's an unconscious thing, maybe it's just instinct, and you just you roll with it.
Your brother-in-law, Peter Sarsgaard, was on the show, and he was talking about how when he made An Education, that there was a moment when he was on the set where he looked at himself and thought, it was kind of an out-of-body experience.
He went, wow, I'm one sexy dude. Well, people think of me as a creepball most of the time, but wow, do I seem sexy in this movie.
Well, he didn't say
I like
that.
cellos.
But do you have those moments on a set?
Those moments exactly, actually, yeah. Yeah, there are these moments where I remember the first day on set, the first day of the makeup and hair tests on the movie. You're there, I'm sitting in the makeup and hair trailer, and there's the actor who played the king, and then all the other, Ben Kingsley, and I'm thinking, I'm looking at my hair, and I'm looking at, like, the costume I'm wearing. I'm like, what have I gotten myself into? And then, slowly Ben Kingsley says, he's like, don't worry, you'll grow into it. We have 7 months, and I'm like, oh my God, But yeah, it's a transitional period, and then eventually, yeah, I think there are moments during the set where you're just like, you're about to do a 35-foot jump off of like a Kasbah in Morocco, or you're about to, kiss this beautiful woman, and you're just like, what am I doing here? This is amazing. It's a transitional stage in your career too, then, isn't it? I mean, in the sense that you're kind of going through some of the same things. From no abs to abs. Yeah. Yes, it is. But wait, no, were those? Hold on. Were those? It was a big climb up that hill. But were they like the 300 abs, where they were just photoshopped in afterwards? No, they were not. No. I just want to. I've done a lot of press with this movie, and I just want to clarify on this show, those are real, and everything that's in that movie is real. It is not CGI enhanced. In fact, the dagger itself is actually a dagger that does turn back time. It really is? Yes. I want to make that clear. So this is a documentary then, Prince of Persia. Well, Mike Newell, the director, said to me before we started, he said, I want to make the most realistic movie about turning back time anyone's ever made. So, Mike, we're going to do it all for real. Disney has created a dagger that actually turns back time. If anybody could do it, it would be Disney. Yes, it would. And Mike Newell and Jerry Bruckheimer. Yes. I want to talk about the accent thing, because you had to nail the accent. Yes. Was that daunting? It was. That was the scariest part of it all. In fact, there have been roles, speaking of An Education, where, you see somebody do it well, and like, Peter does in An Education, and then, there are roles we've seen other people who will go unnamed by me who don't do it well, and I think people are very critical of an American, doing a British accent, or anyone doing a British accent, because, that is in the native tongue of anything, proper. So, yeah, I was scared, and I decided not to do roles as a result of that in the past, and so I went, I'm going to do it, and I spent 3 months. So you've turned down a role because which is not unreasonable. What have you turned down? Like, what could you have been? Ben Kingsley and Gandhi? I'm going to tell you. What did you get off for Gandhi? Yeah, I turned out. I was the first offer on Gandhi, which was that was. I'm still kind of regretting that, but a career's made out of saying, it's what you say no to, not what you say yes to. That's what I've heard. So, I'm okay with it. I would have loved to wear that robe. But, you know.
Right, you got to wear a period piece costume anyway in this.
Yeah, it just wasn't as, you know, aerated.
Did you talk to Ben about that role when you were...
No, we didn't talk about that much.
But you would work with a guy like Ben Kingsley.
How aerated was your robe in Gandhi? I'm a huge fan.
He's like, I was wearing biker shorts under it the whole time. Do you, the accent thing, how do you, I mean, you have a dialect coach, I imagine?
Yes,
right.
I worked with an incredible dialect coach. Her name is Barbara Berkery, and she worked with, you know, on Bridget Jones' Diary with Renee Zellweger, and she worked with Gwyneth Paltrow on Emma and Sliding Doors and all that stuff, so she has a pretty great track record.
Do you, when the director yells cut, do you go back to...
No.
You keep it?
To my weird high accent?
Yeah.
Because I really talk like this most of the time.
Yeah, he's totally put, this is a TV Jake right here.
No, I kept it the whole time. I kept the accent. When I got out of the car in the morning till the day till the moment I stepped back in the car at the end of the day, I was in a British accent.
Did the other actors make fun of you for that?
They did at the beginning only because I sounded more like a Southern person than I did. I was like, I am the Prince of Persia. It was very... And I think actually I saw Ben Kingsley vomit into a trash can. And I saw Alfred Molina like call his agent, like, can you get me out of this? Can you get me out of this? Have I signed the contract yet? No, and yeah, then there was the day it really clicked in. I remember we were in Morocco and we were on a little tent. All the actors were sitting in this little yurt-like tent. And I was just talking, and I just I felt it kind of click in. And I felt them all treat me differently. It was like when you come to Canada and you're like, yeah, I'm a big hockey fan. And then they're like, all right, you're connected. It was literally like everybody treated me like a different person.
Is it, I mean, I suppose you're obviously successful and you've had a lot of roles, so you have a certain confidence, but when you walk into a different kind of film, this is a bigger kind of film, do you find that you have to learn a different kind of confidence or gain more confidence for this sort of thing? Because actors all artists are notoriously open people, and when you are that, you can be insecure about things like this. Definitely.
I mean, I think insecurity is a part of the drive, and at the same time, you know, a nice balance of both, of confidence and insecurity, makes you, I think, determine what you want to do. I mean, in the case of this movie, I think, and almost all movies, I think I say to myself, you know, are you psyched about this? That's the first thing. It's like your instinct kind of, I start reading and I go, something in me, maybe it's the time I'm reading it in my life, maybe it's the actually the script itself. It's all these converging of things all together. And you just kind of, you know, you kind of have to go with a little bit of fear, you know, by saying like, this, like with this movie, I was like, this is way different than anything I've ever done before. So that's a little scary, but at the same time, totally exciting, because I think there are parts of me that are so much like this character than anything I've ever played in any movie.
Well, does it set up the next stage of your career? In that, because you know, if you look at the choices, you made some incredibly successful films, especially the critical ones. Like, you know, it feels like, you know, what you did in Brokeback with Heath and things like Donnie Darko reached an audience in a very different way. But at a certain point, you have to find the next stage of your career. So do you make conscious choices about not planning the next 10 years, but kind of?
No, I think you gotta live in the present. It's like, you know, that's what I did. I mean, it's funny about, actually, Peter Sarsgaard, Peter said to me a long time ago, he said, the funny thing about being an actor in the job that we do, which is an incredible job, is that, you know, when you make movies in particular, when you're not on the stage, but on the stage you get this immediate response from people. You're here and we're all interacting in one way or another, but then when you're in movies, you know, you make the movie and you have the crew around you and everybody's shooting it, but then maybe a year and a half, 2 years later, the movie comes out. And you're not in character anymore, and you're not in front of everybody, and whatever criticism or adulation you get, you sort of relate it to yourself as opposed to the character you're playing, you know, or the project you're doing, and it's very confusing.
And if I think, works, in that way. Remember, what did I do back then?
Yeah, exactly.
What I made it
You're
work.
like, I love the performance, and you're like, oh, wow, like, well, I'm trying to remember what it was like. I'm like, what was it? You know, and also I think for me personally, it's hard to watch the movies that I've been in. It takes at least three or four, you know, viewings of a movie before I'm able to kind of go like, who is that dude with the weird hair? You know, like, you know, and then really get into the story.
Before we get to True and False, which I want to get to with The Prince of Persia, when it's an action film, or it's a film like this, it's a big film, and it's a Jake Gyllenhaal movie in a sense. Different nerves.
It's a little Jake Gyllenhaal movie. It says Jake Gyllenhaal, little Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
But do you have different kind of nerves for this kind of film?
Yeah, I think it is. I think they're all different. You know, we've been all over the world. I mean, you know, this is pretty much the last stop before the movie comes out in all over the world. And you know, we've been to Russia, we've been to London, we've been to talking to every country. We did this really cool satellite premiere from London to Tokyo and to Sydney, and you know, everyone was talking in Japanese in our ears, and you know, and I think to see the posters in all different languages, yeah, of course. It's, you know, it's my mug, you know, up there. You know, we joke. We've taken a lot of photographs of me looking at my own picture, like.
All right, there's some things I want to find out there. True or false? True or false? You were the lead singer of a band called Whole Shot.
That is true.
True or false? You
What
were
an amazing name for a band.
Whole Shot.
What were we thinking?
True or false? You were kicked out of Whole Shot for dating the drummer's girlfriend.
Yeah, dating's a euphemism, but sure. You know, that's why when everybody asks me, what would you do if you had the dagger and you could turn back time? And I always say, you know what, regret is always the best teacher. So I don't necessarily need to turn back.
You've moved on. True or false? You maybe today, but when you were younger, certainly you did a killer Bruce Springsteen impression.
You think so?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
Oh, is that true or false?
Yeah. I've never
really?
heard
You
it.
think so? Have you seen it? I was wondering about that.
That sounds like a true.
You know what? Yeah, it was pretty killer, and a Richie Valens impersonation too. Really? I did, yeah, both in the same. You know, me and my tennis racket when I was a little boy.
Okay, if you had to do one right now, which would you prefer to do?
You know what? I'm not even going to answer that question.
True or false? Your first driving lesson was from Paul Newman.
That, you know what? That is false because, you know, my father, my poor father, and so much publicity that I've done, as, you know, that they've said that Paul Newman's taught me how to drive. My father was the first person to get in a car and show me how to drive. And then I happened to go on a racetrack, and Paul Newman happened to be there, and he put me in a car when I was a little kid after my father taught me how to drive.
So your dad taught you how to drive, Paul Newman taught you how to drive.
Finessed it.
Quickly.
Yeah, quickly. Yeah, safely and quickly.
That's all right. You were almost in The Mighty Ducks. True or false?
That is true.
You almost, really? Why weren't you in that film?
Because I didn't get the part.
No, see, I heard it was because your parents wouldn't let you.
Yeah, I know, man. I saw this like clip of myself as a little boy, and man, was I cocky. I was like, yeah, I almost got the Mighty Ducks. I was like, what am I saying? And now I'm living with that now. Yeah, I mean, I auditioned for the movie, and I got very close to getting it. And when, you know, they were saying we're very interested in him doing it, my parents said, well, you know, he's about to go to junior high school, and we'd rather him go to school. And I remember being really upset when I was a kid, and now, thank God they let me go to school, because, I mean, I would have definitely been good at hockey, which is unfortunate because we could have talked about it, but, you know.
But not anymore. All right, one more true and false. Is it true your dad once freaked out my favorite musician, Tom Waits?
It is true. He did freak out. I mean, it's yet to be determined whether he was really freaked out, but he did. My dad walked up to Tom Waits because he loves his music, and he said Tom Waits was in his car. He parked, comfortably about to eat a huge, like, Subway sandwich, and he's about to take a bite. And my dad was like, sir, Mr. Waits, I just want you to know your music saved my life, which is, by the way, kind of a weird thing to say to somebody. I just want to, and Tom Waits was like, oh, thanks, man. Thanks so much, man. And then he, like, you know, my dad walked away, and he felt so proud of himself. And, you know, Tom Waits turned on the car, put a sandwich down, drove all the way down the block, parked it, turned off the car, ate it again. And I was like, my dad was like, hey, Tom. So that is true.
That's true. Prince of Persia is the film. Jake Gyllenhaal, everybody.